Everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited you're here. This is Living in Health, the place where we explore all things related to living a happier, healthier, and more vibrant life. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel where we explore the best ways to live a long, healthy, and vibrant life. Today, we're diving into a topic that's on many of our plates, quite literally. We're talking about a common food group that could be silently impacting our heart health, especially for those of us over 60. What is it? 1. Highly processed meats. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Sausages for breakfast, a ham sandwich for lunch, maybe some pepperoni on a pizza for dinner. They're convenient, they're tasty, and they're everywhere. But what if I told you that making these foods a regular part of your diet could be setting you up for serious health problems down the road? The evidence is becoming clearer and clearer, and it's something we all need to pay attention to. Let's start by defining what we mean by highly processed meats. We're not talking about a simple piece of grilled chicken or a lean steak. We're talking about meats that have been transformed through methods like curing, smoking, salting, or the addition of chemical preservatives. This includes things like hot dogs, bacon, deli meats like salami and bologna, sausages, and even some types of canned meat or jerky. These processes are designed to improve flavor and extend shelf life, but they often come at a cost to our health. The main issue lies in what's added during this processing. Let's break it down, starting with sodium. Processed meats are notoriously high in sodium. A single hot dog or a couple of slices of deli meat can contain a significant portion of your recommended daily sodium intake. For adults, especially those over 60, high sodium intake is a major driver of high blood pressure or hypertension. Think of your blood vessels as flexible pipes. When you consume too much sodium, your body holds on to extra water to dilute it. This increases the volume of blood flowing through your vessels, which in turn increases the pressure on their walls. Over time, this constant pressure can damage the arteries, making them stiffer and narrower, forcing your heart to work much harder to pump blood. This is a direct pathway to cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, and strokes. Next up, let's talk about saturated fats. While some fat is essential for our bodies, the type of fat matters immensely. Processed meats are often loaded with unhealthy saturated fats. These fats can raise your LDL cholesterol levels, which you might know as the bad cholesterol. When you have too much LDL cholesterol in your blood, it can start to build up on the walls of your arteries, forming a substance called plaque. This process is known as atherosclerosis. As this plaque builds up, it narrows the arteries, restricting blood flow to your heart and other parts of your body. If a piece of this plaque breaks off, it can form a clot that completely blocks an artery, leading to a heart attack or stroke. It's a slow, silent process, but the cumulative effect of a diet high in saturated fats can be devastating. But the concerns don't stop there. One of the most talked about ingredients in processed meats are preservatives, specifically nitrates and nitrites. These chemicals are added to prevent bacterial growth and to give meats like bacon and ham their characteristic pinkish color and flavor. When we eat these nitrates, they can be converted in our bodies into nitrosamines, which are potent compounds that have been linked to a host of health issues. Research suggests that nitrosamines can contribute to oxidative stress and inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation is a key player in the development of many chronic diseases, including heart disease. It can damage the lining of our blood vessels, making them more susceptible to the plaque buildup we just discussed. So, while nitrates keep the meat safe on the shelf, they may be making our bodies less safe in the long run. Beyond these main culprits, highly processed meats often contain a cocktail of other additives, fillers, and artificial flavors to make them more palatable and appealing. These substances don't offer any nutritional value and can further contribute to the overall burden on our bodies. When you eat a piece of unprocessed meat, like a simple chicken breast, you're getting protein and nutrients. When you eat a highly processed sausage, you're getting some protein, but it comes packaged with a lot of extra ingredients that your heart simply doesn't need or want. So, what does this all mean for us, particularly as we get older? Our bodies become less resilient. Our cardiovascular systems have already been working for decades, and the cumulative effects of our lifestyle choices really start to show. For someone over 60, the risk of developing high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and heart disease is already elevated. Regularly consuming highly processed meats just adds fuel to that fire. It's like knowingly pouring sand into a finely tuned engine. Sooner or later, it's going to cause problems. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not about fear-mongering or telling you that you can never have a hot dog at a barbecue again. The key word here is regularly. It's the consistent, day-in day-out consumption that poses the biggest threat. Having a slice of bacon on a special occasion is unlikely to derail your health. But having bacon for breakfast several times a week, a deli meat sandwich for lunch every day, that's the pattern we need to break. The goal is moderation and making smarter choices most of the time. So what are the alternatives? The good news is, there are so many delicious and heart-healthy options available. The best thing you can do is focus on whole, unprocessed sources of protein. Think of fresh chicken or turkey breast that you cook at home. You can roast a whole chicken on Sunday and use the leftover meat for sandwiches and salads throughout the week. This way, you control the ingredients, especially the salt. Fish, particularly fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, are fantastic choices. They are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are actually protective for your heart. They help reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and decrease triglycerides. Plant-based proteins are also excellent. Lentils, beans, chickpeas, and tofu are incredibly versatile, affordable, and packed with fiber, which is another nutrient that's great for heart health. Fiber helps lower cholesterol and control blood sugar levels. You could try making a hearty lentil soup, a black bean burger, or a flavorful chickpea curry. When you're at the grocery store, become a label detective. If you do choose to buy packaged meats, look for options that are labeled low sodium or no nitrates or nitrites added. Opt for fresh sliced turkey or roast beef from the deli counter instead of the pre-packaged, highly preserved varieties. Ask about the sodium content. Be an informed consumer. Your health is worth that extra minute of reading the fine print. Making these changes isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. It's about taking control of your health and making choices that will allow you to feel your best for years to come. Start small. If you eat processed meat every day, try cutting back to 3 times a week. Swap your deli meat sandwich for one made with leftover roasted chicken. Try having a meatless Monday, where you explore plant-based proteins. Small, consistent changes add up to massive results over time. Remember, protecting your heart is one of the most important things you can do for your long-term well-being. It's not about achieving perfection, but about making progress. By reducing your intake of highly processed meats and focusing on whole, nutritious foods, you are giving your heart the support it needs to keep ticking strongly for many more years of joy, activity, and life. I hope this information was helpful and empowering. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more tips on healthy aging. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are some of your favorite heart-healthy protein sources? Let's share ideas and support each other on this journey. Until next time, take care and be well. 2. Added sugar foods and drinks. You might think you have a pretty good handle on your sugar intake, but these sneaky sweeteners are hiding in places you'd least expect, and they could be impacting your health more than you realize. So what exactly are added sugars? Well, they're any sugars or caloric sweeteners that are added to foods or beverages during processing or preparation. This is different from the naturally occurring sugars you find in whole fruits or milk. We're talking about things like high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, dextrose, and even seemingly healthier options like agave nectar or honey when they're added to products. The problem is, these added sugars are everywhere. They're not just in the obvious culprits like sodas, candies, and desserts. You'll find them lurking in your morning cereal, your favorite yogurt, that jar of pasta sauce, salad dressings, ketchup, and even in foods that are marketed as healthy or low-fat. When fat is removed from a product, manufacturers often pump it full of sugar to make it taste better. It's a trade-off that doesn't do our health any favors. Why is this such a big deal, especially for those of us over 60? As we age, our bodies process sugar differently. Our metabolism slows down, and we can become more insulin resistant. Piling on the added sugar can set off a chain reaction of negative health effects. Let's start with weight gain. Added sugars are what we call empty calories. They provide a lot of energy, but very little to no nutritional value. No vitamins, no minerals, no fiber. Because they don't fill you up, it's easy to consume a lot of them without feeling satisfied. This excess energy, if not burned off, gets stored as fat, particularly around the belly. This visceral fat isn't just a cosmetic concern. It's metabolically active and can release inflammatory substances that increase the risk of chronic diseases. Next up are those dreaded energy swings. Have you ever felt a rush of energy after eating something sweet, only to crash and feel sluggish an hour later? That's the sugar roller coaster. When you consume a sugary food or drink, your blood sugar spikes, giving you that temporary boost. Your body then releases a large amount of insulin to bring your blood sugar back down. Often, it overcorrects, causing your blood sugar to plummet. This crash leaves you feeling tired, irritable, and craving even more sugar to get your energy back up. It's a vicious cycle that can disrupt your entire day. For steady, all-day energy, we need to get off this roller coaster. Perhaps the most serious concern is the increased risk of type 2 diabetes. A diet consistently high in added sugars forces your pancreas to work overtime, constantly pumping out insulin. Over time, your cells can become less responsive to insulin signals, a condition known as insulin resistance. This is a major precursor to prediabetes and full-blown type 2 diabetes, a condition that brings a host of its own complications, affecting everything from your heart to your kidneys and your eyesight. And let's not forget our smiles. Sugar is the favorite food of the bad bacteria living in your mouth. When these bacteria feed on sugar, they produce acid. This acid attacks your tooth enamel, leading to cavities and dental decay. As we get older, our gums can recede, and we might be more prone to dry mouth, both of which can accelerate dental issues. Protecting our teeth is a crucial part of our overall health. So, the evidence is clear. Cutting back on added sugar is one of the best things we can do for our long-term health. But how do we do it when it's hiding everywhere? It's all about becoming a savvy consumer and making smarter choices. The first and most powerful step is to become a food label detective. Turn that package over and look at the nutrition facts panel. Manufacturers are now required to list added sugars as a separate line item. This is a game changer. Pay close attention to this number. The American Heart Association recommends that men have no more than 36 grams, or 9 teaspoons, of added sugar per day, and women should aim for no more than 25 grams, or 6 teaspoons. You'll be shocked at how quickly it adds up. A single can of soda can contain more than your entire daily limit. While you're reading the label, scan the ingredients list. Ingredients are listed by weight, so if sugar or one of its many aliases is near the top of the list, that's a red flag. And speaking of aliases, sugar has over 60 different names. Keep an eye out for words ending in "-ose", like sucrose, fructose, glucose, and dextrose. Also watch for syrup, like corn syrup or rice syrup, as well as cane juice, fruit juice concentrate, and maltodextrin. The best way to avoid added sugars is to focus your diet on whole, unprocessed foods. These are foods in their most natural state. Think fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins like chicken and fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and whole grains like oats and quinoa. When you eat a piece of fruit, you're getting sugar, yes, but it's bundled with fiber, water, and nutrients. The fiber slows down the absorption of sugar, preventing those dramatic blood sugar spikes and keeping you feeling full and satisfied. Let's talk about some practical swaps. Instead of that sugary breakfast cereal, try a bowl of plain oatmeal. You can sweeten it naturally with some fresh berries or a sprinkle of cinnamon. Ditching sugary drinks is a huge win. Swap sodas, sweetened iced teas, and fancy coffee drinks for water, sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon, or unsweetened herbal tea. If you drink coffee or tea, try to gradually reduce the amount of sugar you add until you can enjoy it plain. For snacks, instead of reaching for a granola bar, which can be packed with sugar, grab a handful of almonds, a piece of fruit, or some Greek yogurt. Just be sure to choose plain Greek yogurt. The flavored varieties are often loaded with added sugar. You can add your own fruit for natural sweetness. When it comes to cooking, you are in complete control. Make your own salad dressings with olive oil, vinegar, and herbs. Create your own pasta sauces from canned tomatoes, garlic, and spices. By cooking at home more often, you can eliminate the hidden sugars that are so common in processed and restaurant foods. Making these changes doesn't have to happen overnight. It's not about deprivation. It's about making mindful, healthier choices. Start small. Pick one thing to change this week. Maybe it's swapping your daily soda for water. Once that becomes a habit, pick another. Over time, these small changes will compound into significant improvements in your health. You'll likely notice you have more stable energy throughout the day. You might find it easier to manage your weight. Your taste buds will even adapt. As you cut back on added sugars, you'll start to appreciate the natural sweetness in whole foods even more. An apple will taste incredibly sweet and satisfying. Remember, taking control of your sugar intake is an act of self-care. It's about nourishing your body so you can continue to live a vibrant, active, and joyful life for many years to come. It's about having the energy to play with your grandkids, pursue your hobbies, and enjoy your retirement to the fullest. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this has empowered you to take a closer look at the sugar in your diet. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tips on healthy aging. And be sure to share your own tips for cutting back on sugar in the comments below. We can all learn from each other. Take care. 3. Highly processed and fried foods. Think of foods that come in a box, a bag, or a can, with a long list of ingredients you can't pronounce. We're talking about prepackaged meals, sugary breakfast cereals, snack cakes, processed meats like hot dogs and certain deli slices, and instant noodles. They are the definition of convenience. But what's the real cost of that convenience, especially for our bodies after 60? Well, these foods are often loaded with sodium, unhealthy fats, and a whole lot of sugar. Let's start with sodium. As we age, our blood vessels can become less flexible, and our kidneys might not be as efficient at filtering out excess salt. When we consume too much sodium, our bodies hold on to extra water to dilute it. This increases the volume of blood in our bloodstream, which in turn raises our blood pressure. High blood pressure, or hypertension, is a major risk factor for heart disease and stroke, two conditions we definitely want to keep at bay. Then there's the sugar. It's not just in sodas and sweets. It's hidden in everything from ketchup and salad dressings to bread and pasta sauces. Consuming too much added sugar leads to chronic inflammation throughout the body. This inflammation is like a constant, low-level stress on our systems. It can damage our blood vessels, contribute to joint pain and arthritis, and even impact our brain health. Furthermore, a high-sugar diet can lead to insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes, a condition that becomes more common with age and can complicate our health in many ways. And we can't forget the unhealthy fats, particularly trans fats. While many manufacturers have phased them out, they still linger in some processed items. These artificial fats are created to extend shelf life, but they wreak havoc on our cholesterol levels. They raise the bad LDL cholesterol and lower the good HDL cholesterol, creating the perfect storm for plaque to build up in our arteries. This condition, known as atherosclerosis, narrows the arteries and stiffens them, forcing your heart to work much harder to pump blood. The second category of food we need to be mindful of is fried foods. I know. Who doesn't love the crispy, crunchy satisfaction of a piece of fried chicken or a basket of French fries? It's a comfort food for many of us. But the way these foods are cooked can turn them into a serious threat to our health. When foods are deep fried, they act like little sponges, soaking up enormous amounts of oil. This not only adds a huge number of calories to our meal, which can contribute to weight gain, but the type of oil used is often a problem. Restaurants and fast food chains often use vegetable oils like corn, soy, or safflower oil, which are high in omega-6 fatty acids. While we need some omega-6, our modern diet provides way too much of them and not enough anti-inflammatory omega-3s. This imbalance can fuel that same chronic inflammation we talked about earlier. Even more concerning is what happens to the oil when it's heated to high temperatures. The process of frying can create those harmful trans fats we mentioned, even if the original oil didn't contain them. It also can produce compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These are harmful substances that form when proteins or fats combine with sugars in the bloodstream, and high-heat cooking methods like frying accelerate their formation. AGEs contribute to oxidative stress and inflammation, and have been linked to an increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even Alzheimer's. On top of that, fried foods are notoriously hard on our digestive systems. As we get older, our production of digestive enzymes can slow down, and the heavy fat load from fried foods can be difficult to break down. This can lead to uncomfortable symptoms like indigestion, bloating, heartburn, and acid reflux. It's a heavy price to pay for a moment of crispy delight. So what's the alternative? How do we enjoy delicious, satisfying meals without relying on these processed and fried options? The answer is beautifully simple. We go back to basics. We prioritize whole, minimally processed foods. Think of foods that look like they did when they came from the farm, the field, or the ocean. Let's start with protein. Instead of processed meats, choose lean sources like grilled chicken or turkey breast, baked or broiled fish like salmon or cod, beans, lentils, and tofu. These provide the essential amino acids our bodies need to maintain muscle mass, which is crucial for strength and mobility as we age, without all the added sodium and preservatives. Next, fill your plate with a rainbow of vegetables and fruits. These are nature's powerhouses, packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. The antioxidants fight off oxidative stress, protecting our cells from damage. And the fiber? It's a superstar for our health over 60. Fiber helps keep our digestive system regular, preventing constipation. It also helps manage blood sugar levels by slowing down the absorption of sugar, and it can lower cholesterol. Aim for a variety of colors to get a broad range of nutrients. Think dark leafy greens, bright red bell peppers, orange sweet potatoes, and purple berries. And what about cooking methods? This is where we can get creative and still get that satisfying texture without the deep fryer. Roasting or baking vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, or Brussels sprouts at a high temperature brings out their natural sweetness and gives them a wonderful, slightly crispy edge. Grilling is another fantastic option for proteins and vegetables, imparting a smoky flavor without adding extra fat. And let's talk about the modern kitchen marvel, the air fryer. If you haven't tried one, it might just be your new best friend. An air fryer circulates hot air to cook food, giving it a crispy finish that mimics deep frying, but with a fraction of the oil. You can make fantastic fries out of sweet potatoes or zucchini or crispy chicken wings, all with just a tiny spritz of healthy oil like olive or avocado oil. Steaming is another gentle cooking method, perfect for delicate vegetables and fish, that preserves nutrients beautifully. Making these changes isn't about an all-or-nothing approach. It's about progress, not perfection. Start small. Maybe you can swap your usual afternoon snack of chips or cookies for a piece of fruit and a handful of nuts. Or perhaps commit to cooking at home one more night a week, trying out a new recipe that involves baking or grilling instead of frying. Over time, these small, consistent changes add up to a monumental shift in your health. You'll notice you have more energy, your digestion feels better, and you're giving your heart the support it needs to keep ticking strong for years to come. Eating this way is an act of self-care. It's a powerful way to take control of your health and invest in your future. By choosing nourishing, whole foods, you're not just eating. You're building a foundation for a vibrant, active, and joyful life in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this information helpful and empowering. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up for more tips on healthy aging. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's one small swap you're planning to make this week? Until next time, take great care of yourselves. 4. Full-fat dairy and fatty cuts of meat in excess. Today, we're diving into a topic that's often surrounded by a lot of confusion and debate. Full-fat dairy and fatty cuts of meat. Are they friends or foes to our health after 60? Let's get into it. First off, let's be clear. We're not here to demonize any single food group. Food is meant to be enjoyed, and a balanced approach is always the best way forward. However, when we talk about maintaining a healthy heart and overall vitality as we age, it's crucial to understand how certain foods impact our bodies differently than they did in our 20s or 30s. Specifically, we're looking at the effects of consuming full-fat dairy and fatty meats in excess. So what's the main concern here? It all comes down to a specific type of fat, saturated fat. Products like whole milk, rich cheeses, butter, cream, and fatty cuts of meat like prime rib, bacon, and sausages are all high in saturated fats. Now, our bodies do need some fat to function. Fats are essential for absorbing certain vitamins, producing hormones, and providing energy. But, as with many things in life, the key is moderation and choosing the right types. When we consistently consume a diet high in saturated fats, it can lead to an increase in our LDL cholesterol levels. You've probably heard of LDL referred to as the bad cholesterol. Think of it like this. LDL cholesterol can contribute to the buildup of plaque in our arteries. This process, known as atherosclerosis, is like a slow, silent traffic jam forming in your body's most important highways. As the arteries narrow and become less flexible, it forces your heart to work much harder to pump blood throughout your body. This increased workload on the heart, combined with the narrowed arteries, significantly raises the risk of cardiovascular diseases. We're talking about serious conditions like heart attacks, strokes, and high blood pressure, which are among the leading health concerns for adults over 60. As we age, our body's ability to manage cholesterol and repair damage to our blood vessels isn't as efficient as it once was, making us more susceptible to these risks. It's not about fear, it's about being informed and proactive. Let's break it down further with dairy. Many of us grew up with the Got Milk campaign, and dairy is indeed a fantastic source of calcium and vitamin D, which are vital for bone health, especially in preventing osteoporosis. But we don't have to get those nutrients from full-fat versions alone. For example, a single cup of whole milk contains about 4.5 grams of saturated fat. That might not sound like a lot, but if you're also having cheese on your sandwich, butter on your toast, and a creamy dessert, it adds up very, very quickly. The American Heart Association recommends that saturated fat should only make up about 5 to 6% of your total daily calories. For a 2,000-calorie diet, that's only about 13 grams per day. You can see how easy it is to exceed that limit. Now let's talk about meat. A juicy steak or a hearty serving of pork belly can be incredibly delicious, but fatty cuts are also loaded with saturated fat. For instance, a single serving of a fatty cut like a ribeye steak can contain more than your entire recommended daily intake of saturated fat. Beyond the fat, highly processed meats like bacon, sausage, and certain deli meats often contain high levels of sodium and preservatives called nitrates. High sodium intake is a well-known driver of high blood pressure, and some research suggests a link between nitrates and an increased risk for certain health issues. It's a triple threat: saturated fat, sodium, and preservatives. So what's the solution? Does this mean you have to say goodbye to your favorite cheese or that Sunday roast forever? Absolutely not. The goal is balance and making smarter swaps. It's about shifting the focus of your diet, not completely eliminating foods you love. Let's start with dairy. You can still get all the bone-strengthening benefits by choosing lower-fat options. Try switching to 1% or skim milk. They have just as much calcium and vitamin D, but with a fraction of the saturated fat. The same goes for yogurt. Greek yogurt, in particular, is a protein powerhouse. Opt for the low-fat or non-fat plain versions and add your own fruit for sweetness. When it comes to cheese, you don't have to give it up. Just be mindful of your portions. A little bit of a flavorful, high-quality cheese like Parmesan or Feta can go a long way in adding taste to a dish without overloading it with fat. Or look for reduced-fat versions of your favorites, like mozzarella or cheddar. Now for the meat. This is where you can get really creative. Start by incorporating more lean proteins into your meals. Think skinless chicken or turkey breast, which are incredibly versatile and low in saturated fat. Fish is another fantastic option, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. I know, fatty fish sounds counterintuitive, but these fish are rich in a different kind of fat: omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s are a type of polyunsaturated fat that is actually heart protective. They can help lower blood pressure, reduce triglycerides, and decrease inflammation in the body. Aim for at least 2 servings of fatty fish per week. When you do crave red meat, choose leaner cuts. Look for words like loin or round in the name, such as sirloin steak or pork tenderloin. These cuts have significantly less fat. Another great tip is to trim any visible fat from the meat before you cook it. And how you cook it matters, too. Instead of frying, try grilling, baking, roasting, or broiling. These methods allow the fat to drip away from the meat. For ground meat, choose options that are at least 90% lean, and be sure to drain off any excess grease after browning it. Beyond just swapping, let's talk about embracing other sources of healthy fats. We've been taught to fear fat for so long, but monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are your heart's best friends. Where can you find them? Avocados are a prime example. Creamy, delicious, and packed with heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. Olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, is another cornerstone of a heart-healthy diet, like the Mediterranean diet. Use it for salad dressings or for drizzling over cooked vegetables. Nuts and seeds, like almonds, walnuts, and flax seeds, are also incredible sources of good fats, fiber, and protein. A small handful makes a perfect, satisfying snack. A huge part of this is also portion control. You can still enjoy a scoop of your favorite premium ice cream or a slice of prime rib on a special occasion. The key is to make it an occasional treat, not a daily habit. Savor it, enjoy every bite, and then return to your balanced, nutrient-rich diet. Think of your daily meals as the foundation of your health, and these richer foods as the occasional, celebratory decorations. Let's recap the strategy. It's a three-pronged approach. First, reduce your intake of high-saturated fat foods. This means being mindful of full-fat dairy and fatty, processed meats. Second, replace them with healthier alternatives. Choose low-fat dairy, lean proteins like chicken and fish, and plant-based proteins like beans and lentils. Third, embrace healthy fats. Incorporate olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds into your diet to support your heart health. Making these changes doesn't have to be a chore. Start small. This week, maybe you swap your whole milk for 1% milk. Next week, try having a meatless Monday where you experiment with a delicious bean chili or a lentil soup. Small, consistent changes are far more sustainable and effective than a drastic, overnight overhaul. Listen to your body, enjoy your food, and focus on nourishing yourself from the inside out. Your heart, your energy levels, and your overall well-being will thank you for it. I hope this discussion has been helpful and empowering. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more tips on healthy aging. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What are some of your favorite healthy swaps? Stay healthy, stay curious. 5. High-sodium foods. Did you know that the average person consumes about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day? That's almost 50% more than the recommended daily limit of 2,300 milligrams. And for many of us, especially those over 50 or with certain health conditions, the ideal limit is even lower, around 1,500 milligrams. This excess sodium isn't just coming from the salt shaker on your table. It's hiding in plain sight, in many of the foods we eat every single day. Over time, this hidden salt can lead to serious health problems like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and kidney issues. Today, we're going to uncover 5 of the sneakiest high-sodium foods you might be eating regularly and, more importantly, what you can do about it. By the end of this video, you'll have simple, actionable tips to take control of your sodium intake and protect your health. Let's start with a big one: processed meats. I'm talking about things like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli meats like ham and turkey, and even canned meats like Spam or corned beef. These are staples in many households for quick breakfasts, easy sandwiches, and simple dinners. But here's the catch: they are absolutely loaded with sodium. Why? Salt is a fantastic preservative. It helps to cure the meat, extend its shelf life, and of course, it adds a lot of flavor. A single serving of deli meat, just a few thin slices, can pack over 500 milligrams of sodium. A couple of hot dogs can easily push you past 1,000 milligrams. That's a huge chunk of your daily allowance in just one part of one meal. The constant high intake from these foods can put a significant strain on your blood vessels, forcing your heart to work harder and raising your blood pressure over time. So what's the alternative? Try swapping processed meats for fresh, unseasoned cuts of chicken, turkey, or fish that you cook yourself. Roasting a whole chicken at the beginning of the week can give you delicious, low-sodium meat for sandwiches and salads for days. Next up, let's talk about something many people think of as a healthy choice: canned soups. On a cold day, a warm bowl of soup feels comforting and nourishing. And while soups can be packed with vegetables and protein, the canned versions are often a sodium nightmare. A single can of soup, which many of us would consider one serving, can contain anywhere from 1,000 to over 2,000 milligrams of sodium. That could be your entire daily limit in one bowl. Manufacturers use salt to enhance flavor and act as a preservative. Even the reduced sodium versions can still be quite high. The problem is that this massive sodium load causes your body to retain water, which can lead to bloating, puffiness, and increased blood pressure. For people who are sensitive to salt, this effect can be almost immediate. The best way to enjoy soup without the salt bomb is to make it yourself. It's easier than you think. You can control every ingredient, using low-sodium broth or even just water as a base, and build flavor with herbs, spices, garlic, onions, and a squeeze of lemon juice. You'll be amazed at how flavorful homemade soup can be without all that extra salt. Now for a food that's a favorite for quick meals and late-night snacks: frozen dinners. The convenience is undeniable. You pop it in the microwave, and in a few minutes, you have a hot meal. But that convenience comes at a cost, and that cost is often your sodium intake. Frozen meals, from pizza to pasta dishes to healthy lifestyle bowls, are notorious for being high in sodium. A single serving frozen meal can easily contain 700 to 1,800 milligrams of sodium. The salt is used not only for flavor, but also to help preserve the texture of the food during the freezing and reheating process. Think about it. That one little tray could be more than half of your daily sodium budget. Regularly relying on these meals can contribute to chronically elevated blood pressure, putting you at a higher risk for cardiovascular events. A great alternative is to batch cook your own meals and freeze them in single portions. Things like chili, stews, lasagna, and shepherd's pie freeze beautifully. This way, you get the same convenience as a store-bought frozen dinner, but with complete control over the salt content. Let's move into the condiment aisle. Sauces, dressings, and condiments are where a ton of hidden sodium lurks. Think about soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, and salad dressings. We often don't think about the sodium in these because we only use a little bit at a time, right? Well, it adds up, and fast. Just 1 tablespoon of soy sauce can have nearly 1,000 milligrams of sodium. A couple of tablespoons of salad dressing can add 300 to 500 milligrams to your healthy salad. These are flavor enhancers, and salt is the king of flavor enhancement. It makes savory foods taste richer and can even balance sweetness. The health impact is cumulative. A little bit here, a little bit there, and by the end of the day, you've consumed a huge amount of excess sodium without even realizing it. The solution? Read the labels. Look for low-sodium versions of your favorite sauces. Or better yet, make your own. A simple vinaigrette for your salad can be made with olive oil, vinegar, and a pinch of herbs. You can make your own marinades using citrus juices, garlic, and spices instead of salty bottled sauces. Finally, let's talk about something you might not expect: bread and baked goods. While a single slice of bread might not seem like a sodium villain, it can have between 100 and 200 milligrams of sodium. Now, who eats just one slice of bread a day? If you have a sandwich for lunch, toast for breakfast, and a roll with dinner, that sodium can easily add up to over 800 milligrams, just from the bread alone. Salt is a crucial ingredient in baking. It controls the yeast, strengthens the gluten structure, and adds flavor. This also applies to bagels, muffins, tortillas, and pastries. Because we eat these foods so frequently, they can become a major source of sodium in our diet. This steady, consistent intake contributes to the overall burden on our cardiovascular and renal systems. So what can you do? Again, label reading is your best friend. Compare brands at the grocery store. Some breads have significantly less sodium than others. Look for options with under 140 milligrams per slice. Exploring options like low-sodium whole wheat pita or even making your own bread if you're feeling adventurous can also make a big difference. So, we've identified the culprits: processed meats, canned soups, frozen dinners, sauces, and even bread. The common thread here is processed and packaged foods. The single most effective strategy to reduce your sodium intake is to cook more meals at home from scratch. When you cook, you are in complete control. You decide what goes into your food. This doesn't mean you have to spend hours in the kitchen every day. Simple things like roasting vegetables, grilling chicken, and making a big pot of soup or chili on the weekend can set you up for healthy, low-sodium meals all week. When you do buy packaged foods, become a detective. Read the nutrition facts label. Look for the milligrams of sodium per serving, and also pay attention to the serving size. Sometimes a package contains multiple servings. A food is considered low in sodium if it has 140 milligrams or less per serving. Also, look for claims like sodium-free, very low sodium, and low sodium. Be wary of reduced sodium or less sodium, as these products might still be high in salt, just less than their original versions. Don't be afraid to get creative with flavor. We often reach for salt out of habit, but there's a whole world of other flavors to explore. Use fresh and dried herbs like basil, oregano, rosemary, and cilantro. Spices like cumin, coriander, paprika, and turmeric add warmth and complexity. Garlic and onion powder, not garlic salt or onion salt, are fantastic flavor bases. A squeeze of fresh lemon or lime juice at the end of cooking can brighten up a dish and give it a pop of flavor that often mimics the effect of salt. Experimenting with these will not only lower your sodium intake, but will also make you a more creative and confident cook. Reducing sodium is a journey, not a race. Your taste buds have likely become accustomed to high levels of salt, so foods might taste bland at first. But the good news is that your palate can adapt. Over a few weeks of consciously lowering your salt intake, you'll start to notice the natural flavors of food more. That tomato will taste sweeter, that chicken will taste richer. You'll become more sensitive to salt, and soon, those high-sodium foods you used to love might even start to taste unpleasantly salty. Be patient with yourself and focus on making small, sustainable changes. Maybe this week you swap your deli meat sandwich for one with leftover roasted chicken. Maybe next week you try making your own salad dressing. Every small step adds up to a big impact on your long-term health, protecting your heart, your kidneys, and your overall well-being. Here are 5 types of foods that many health professionals suggest limiting or avoiding after age 60 to support heart health, digestion, and overall well-being. Of course, individual needs vary, so it's a good idea to discuss any dietary changes with a healthcare provider, especially if you have chronic conditions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope these tips help you on your path to a healthier lifestyle. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more health and wellness content. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite low-sodium swap is. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.